Hello, real estate professionals. Thank you for being here with us today. Our Agent Advantage monthly webinar. My name is Kurt Klaus, and this monthly webinar series is brought to you by the Guaranteed Rate family of companies and our Agent Advantage website. Today's webinar is to help you get your plan in place for the upcoming year, putting together your business plan and setting your goals, being strategic about how you want to improve next year. Now is the time to take your time, kind of assess where you are and where you want to be a year from now, and help you write down your game plan at the beginning of the year so you can execute it. So before I bring on today's featured agent, Matthew Ray, to share his tips for success and some tools and ideas to help you hit your goals, want to remind you that this webinar series is all a part of our Agent Advantage website. It is proprietary to the Guaranteed Rate family of companies. At Agent Advantage, our goal is to make your life easier and help you increase your production. Agent Advantage is no cost. Some of the benefits: it has a referral and lead capture feature. It has a loan dashboard with status on all your transactions and a full marketing CRM that's powered by Total Expert to help you grow your business and help you look good to your clients. Agent Advantage is agents.rate.com. That's the website, agents.rate.com. There's a version for each of our family of companies, but you can create an account there and connect to any loan officer from any of our companies. Also, I would like to mention our Agent Advantage Insider Facebook page that will contain all the latest on our next webinar. It has content and real estate news and a forum for all of our agents who want to share what's working for them. It's a closed group, but to request to join our Agent Advantage Insider group, go to Facebook and search Agent Advantage Insider. You can click that QR code on your screen and you can request to join our group. We would love to have you. So our guests today, we are fortunate to have Matthew Ray from Portland and Kama Homes with us. He's got a background in kind of management and real estate investing and a huge focus on customer service. We thought it'd be the perfect guy to share his insight with you and how he wins with his relationship building and passion for serving others. As we all know, real estate is a fundamentally relationship-based business. Hello, Matthew. How are you?
I'm good, Kurt. I'm good. Thanks for having me here this morning. Appreciate it.
Big thanks to you for your time and for being with us.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with just like a short intro? Tell us about your market, maybe your experience and background and your team there.
Yeah. Portland, Oregon, West Coast. We're actually it's a great market. We're the fifth largest city on the West Coast. We're the fifth big city. We're kind of like the little brother to Seattle and San Diego and LA and San Francisco. But the nice thing is it helps keeps price a little bit down compared to those areas. So we get a lot of refugees from up and down the coast that want to stay out here, but don't necessarily want to pay those prices. Let's see. I was born and raised here in Portland. I left for about 12, 15 years, traveled the world, did some stuff with the Marine Corps, got into grocery industry, ran a scuba diving shop, started my own property management company, did some investing, and just really realized where actually, I just didn't like being in property management. If there's property managers, sorry, but waking up every day and having nobody like what you do. Your tenants think you're not, you're a slumlord, and your owners think you're not making enough money. Like that's a tough business to be in. And I realized that I didn't want to wake up behind every single morning. And so I gravitated towards this end of the industry and haven't looked back. Love it. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah. Why don't I kind of start with that? So with your, real estate investing has made such an impact on you personally.
Yeah.
So, how has that helped you define your real estate business as a realtor and your philosophy today?
Yeah, I think a majority of our clients, 50% probably of our clients, I bet, either own rentals or want to own rentals. So it's a pretty big part of our, we speak to it, not necessarily in a grand scale, but in a real practical, like this is your life and this is your vehicle to get where you're trying to go. And so that's been really changing to recognize that even if people aren't looking at their purchases as investments, we need to for them on their behalf, right? Because we know that real estate's real forgiving over the long term, and that if we help them buy a great place now or even a good place, it's going to be great for them and it's going to give them options they won't have versus just trying to shoehorn them into something so you can get a closing. Um, Crazy. Um, for personally, it's helped with perspective. I mean, I don't have a ton of doors. I'm working. I'm working more. I recognize that getting more is my path to a financially free future and options in the future. Um, but really, it's been perspective and being able to talk our clients through. I personally do this too. I recognize it. It's challenging. It lets me uh, use personal stories about I know what it's like to buy and sell. I remember, I sold a rental a couple of years ago. Here's what I went through emotionally at the stage you're at. I get it. You're not alone. You're not crazy, right? So it helps us connect to clients in that way, but also helps us in that when they're scared right now. I mean, people are buyers. A lot of buyers are scared because they're hearing fear, 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 fear. And I can go back and point to, hey, I bought my first investment in 2010, and all I heard from everybody around me was, "You're crazy, fear, fear, fear. Why would you buy right now? The market's in the dumps." And I just tell them, "Would you buy in 2010 now, knowing what you know now, if you could?" Yep. I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't do that, right? And so I use that same cycle now of, yeah, it's scary, but everybody else is scared and telling you. Maybe you need to look beyond what's your plan for the next 30 years. What do you want to do? And you putting this piece in place now is going to set you up in ways that your peers don't have. So that's perspective is a lot of what that is.
Yeah, for sure. Emotion, for
Mm-hmm.
sure, a part of it,
Yeah.
and it's definitely a, personal thing. Well, tell us what you think makes you unique. Maybe what, looking back, was the reason that you are where you are today, and what makes you different from other agents, in your opinion.
So what makes me unique, or what skill sets do I think we bring? I try really hard to look at our clients' lives as a holistic picture, right? I mean, we're real estate's a very important slice and a very important part of that, but they've got a bunch of stuff going on around it. So the experiences that I bring and the experiences that happen um, in our past lives help form who we are now, and it brings that ability to walk side by side with them and recognize that this is an important part, but we also have to make sure that is their family stable? Are they, we recognize there's holidays coming and that's adding stresses, and just being able to put all of these pieces together and recognize this is one part and it's important, and focusing on that, but not only to the exclusion of everything else.
Yeah, yeah. And how long have you been in the business as an agent?
As an agent, 5 years. I just hit my 5 year. I just hit my 5 year mark. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know most of your business, we'll talk about referrals,
Yeah.
but looking back to when you started, was there any kind of point when things clicked and things took off, and actions or things you did back then that you thought were like maybe a turning point looking back?
Yeah, I clicked in the, I guess, right way in that I I tried. When I sat down, I knew that I wanted to work my referral. That spoke to me, but I thought I owed it to try other things too, to make sure that this wasn't that what I was dedicating myself to is the right path, right? And so I borrowed somebody's auto dialer and I logged in for an hour, and I set my alarm on my phone, and I called for an hour, and I did it. I did it for an hour, and then when that alarm went off, I click, click, click as fast as I can to get off that auto dialer. And I said, if this is what I have to do to be successful in the business, I'll do something else. Doesn't mean it's not a great way of getting business. Doesn't mean it's not valid. People build great careers off of it, but it wasn't for me. And again, when I started looking at like where my clients were coming from, they were referrals. They were referrals from people I knew, from vendors, from other people in the industry. And then I dabbled with open houses. I probably did 40, 45 in a year. So not every weekend, but not infrequently either. I was doing open houses, and that entire time I got one lead. And then again, I'm looking back at where my leads were coming from slowly at first, but they were all my leads were coming from people I knew, and connections and networks and helping people. And I just thought, why am I spending all my weekends here at these open houses? Again, a great way of building business. I've got a team member that's fantastic at it for adding people to our database. It just wasn't for me. And so I really, that's when it clicked between those two things in the course of the first probably 18 months, that all my business is coming from here, and I'm spending a lot of my time on things here. Like I need to bring these together. And so that's when I just really started focusing on relationships and giving and giving and giving. Um, and that's when the business has really just continued to escalate every single year.
So, what percentage of your business, Matthew, comes from referrals?
I say 100%. That's not
Yeesh.
that's not 100% accurate, right? I do get occasional
Yeah.
sign calls. Um, for years, I would just pass those. For the last probably 2 years, I just pass those sign calls off and never. I might get a referral fee once every 50 sign calls. Um, you get those random ones just randomly. Sometimes they find you online somehow. I don't do online advertising, but that's 2 or 3 a year, and the rest are the other 50, 55 are all referrals. So I'd say 100% referral based. I've expanded the team this year, so I brought a new agent on, and she's doing really well. She's mainly referral based, although she is getting quite a bit from open houses that we're working. What we focus on is taking that open house lead and converting it to a referral based business, and just being really clear about asking for that, and explaining how we operate, and that they're the outlier and they're the exception for how we get business. Because everybody likes that. They like to feel special, but then that ties them back to the rest of the referral based business. But for my personal business, probably at least 95% referral based. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So, for the agent who's listening, and obviously it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to
Yeah.
work your database. But was your focus, you know more people than you think, even to the agent that's brand new. Was it just hitting everyone that you know or every contact that you have, or maybe talk on what the path or what the touch points are
Yeah.
to a new client? Let's say I'm move into town and we do a transaction. What type of communication will I expect to receive from you going forward? How do you do it?
Yeah. So two questions, right? If I'm hearing right, one is kind of that initial agent, what are they doing? And then two, once we get the client, what are we doing? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So initial agent. Um, uh, let's talk about that first for a second. So initially, you probably do know a lot more people than you think you do. That doesn't mean they're all going to be lead sources for you. I went down that road at the very beginning of calling people that I haven't talked to in 20 years. That doesn't work. Like they don't want to hear from you. If they did, they would have talked to you before 20 years from now. So I think that transfer of trust from past industries is really good. Go back and look at who you had a relationship with, and the key in all of this, for both these questions, is making it about them, right? So if you're an agent and you're thinking, I want to get referral based business going, and you go with your hand out, like, people can smell that from a mile away. It doesn't come across real. It doesn't come across like, you can say you want to help all you want, but if at the end of every conversation you're saying, who do you know who's looking to buy or sell real estate, it's real clear what you're doing. And that's not a referral based business. That's you trying to get business from other people, right? So I go into these conversations with genuine curiosity of, what's going on in their life, what are they doing. Half the time I'm not asking for business. 3/4 of the time I'm not asking for business. I'm just having a conversation about what's interesting to them. You send an article to somebody because they're a soccer fan, and you see that your local soccer team just had a great victory. I'm not a soccer guy, but I know people love it. So I see that article, I send it to people I know that they love. Hey, saw this, thought you'd like it. You must be excited. You genuinely start to pour into people. Um, and it takes time. It takes a little bit of time. We joke that nobody shows up to any seminar called The Long Slow Road to Wealth. um, and it doesn't have to be slow, but it does take time to build real relationships. And if you try to monetize it too quickly in your mind, it's going to come out in your actions. So one of the things agents can do, and I'm sure we'll talk about later, is working with vendor partners, to build who even if you're new to an area. And there's some tricks we can talk about how to do that in a way that is actually helping them, and not just as a means to help you. Um, and then the other section was, what are we, if you're a new client coming to town, what do you expect? So when you come into the database, we're really clear. We start up front by always circling back to that referral, right? If you wait till the very end of the transaction and now you're saying like, oh, hey, by the way, this is how I work, um, it's probably too late. So we constantly are circling back to that referral source. Hey, John and Jamie, or Jamie and John referred you to us. I know you're their neighbor. They're great friends of ours. Oh yeah, they just had a kid. We're so happy that they introduced us, that we can share our experience with you and help you get the outcome you're looking for. You see that along the way. I make, depending on personalities, I'll make jokes like, hey, when this is done, I don't go anywhere. Like I'll follow up in 2 days to make sure the money's in your account, or I'll follow up to make sure that the keys work, or to see what appliance broke, right? So I use a little bit of humor sometimes in that. But throughout the course of the transaction, we've got multiple touch points, from earnest money in, preliminary title report, inspections, appraisals, all of these pieces that can be pain points for people, that we're seeding along the way, that we're the expert and we're here to help them. And then you also create fun moments along the way of, hey, now's the time to go celebrate. We're not there yet. You don't have the keys, but we're getting closer. Probably a great night out. Here's a date night spot for you guys. So that was not just real estate, real estate, real estate. It's what's interesting to you, what's important in your life, and how do we help you make that better. And then you seed it through. So then you're getting event invites. You're getting our monthly mailer. We do an emailer once a month, a monthly mailer. We do multiple events a year. So you're getting invites to those. Realistically, unless it's a fast transaction, one of those is going to overlap during the transaction. So we use that time like, hey, this is something that we do for our clients. We'd love to have you come along with it. And it's, again, you're seeding that future harvest right there. So in their mind, it's not a surprise when the transaction closes and then a mailer shows up or a magazine shows up in their mail 3 weeks later with our name on it.
Great answer. So all those touch points throughout the transaction, and they're all opportunities to, even if it's not a major milestone, it's an opportunity to, touch your client. And then afterwards, with the mailers and the invites, you segment your clients ABC, or everyone is put on the same path for what they can expect to get from you each month, or physical call each quarter, or how does what's the cadence?
Yeah, I don't want to say it depends, because we do have it's segmented, right? We have our A pluses, A's, B's, and C's. Everybody gets invited to every event. So our events are open to everybody. They're all clients. We have our biggest one of the year coming up in early December. It's our Winter Greens event. And so everybody gets invited to that. Everybody gets invited to Pi Day. So that goes out to everybody. And then you're getting 6 or 7 touches, client contacts for every single event, right? Between save the dates and then the official invite, then a reminder email, or then an email, then a reminder text, then the day of text, then the event, then a follow-up, right? So if they show up, they're getting 7 to 8 touches 6 times a year just with the events. But again, if it's all about the event, then they're not going to be interested. It's wrapping it into, how do we make this why is this benefiting their life? And so I lost the train of thought there for a second. So it's going through the event process. It's making sure that they have those moments that matter to them. And I think there's a book, The Power of Moments, I think it's called. That's fantastic. That one of the things it talks about is at Disneyland, that if you look at, like, take your time at Disneyland, right? If you're there for 4 days, the vast majority of your time spent is in line, it's in the sun, it's spending money. If you said to most people, like, hey, would you want to come spend 4 days of the standing in line, waiting for something to happen, spending a ton of money with your feet hurting, they're going to say no. But yet you remember those high moments. It's those moments that you remember. It's the ride. It's the look on somebody's face. It's that magic moment you didn't know you had. And they're not always the big things. It's the little stuff. So we try to find those little moments in a transaction. We know that moving can be really challenging. So if you pop by with some ibuprofen and some back patches, that's super simple, and it shows you care, and it can take that little moment and add some levity to it. It's not appropriate for everybody. So you got to know who you're talking to. You got to actually know them. Or you pop by with some boxes. You collect boxes from one client, you store them in your garage, and you take them to the client in need that can't afford boxes, right? You bring by, somebody's moving in, and you provide them pizza because they're just moving. They're not thinking about eating. You show up and you say, hey, I'll be there at 4 with pizza. We've got you covered. Don't worry about it. Just unpack your stuff. Oh, my back's hurt. I can't help move boxes. Sorry, but here's some food. You've got to figure out what's going to work for each client, and so you create a menu of them. And it's repeatable to you. They don't know that it's the same, or often the same thing you do. So you just create a menu of 5, 6 different touch points, and you can pick one or two during a transaction and do them for that client. And that it's those genuine moments that they're going to remember. They're not going to remember the inspection contingency that almost went bad or the appraisal kerfuffle 5 years from now. They're going to remember the little things that you did along the way that made those moments just magical.
You also mentioned that you like to tap into other referral partners or other sources of business, maybe other agents. Anything else you do to kind of drum up business or create new
Yeah.
clients?
Yeah, I remember early on, probably about the time I was cold calling or open housing, I heard an agent say something about along the lines of that their top producer, right, big agent, that they go through their vendor database every year. They sit down as a team. They say, how many referrals did my roofer send? How many referrals did my landscaper send? How many referrals did my painter send? And if they don't hit a metric, they're off the list, and they'll get somebody new in there. And it always struck me as kind of, again, nothing wrong with it. It works for their business. It works really well. That's not a relationship. Like if it's quid pro quo, it's not a relationship. So I started turning to our vendors. What I really want from my roofer is if they send me leads, that's great. But I really want roof bids for my buyers and sellers. And then I want good work done quickly. That's what I need that's most important. And so I concentrate on what does my roofer want from me, not the other way around. I concentrate on what does my painter want from me, not the other way around. How can I help my painter build his business? He's expanded into hauling, junk hauling. We've helped him build this entire business and ancillary pieces. The real referrals that I get that have come from some of those work. There's some great business partners and figuring out who they are and who knows who's selling first, who knows who's buying first. And so you got to figure out what that looks like in your community. That it can be estate planners, it can be divorce attorneys. Attorneys are great sources of leads. CPAs, it can be wealth advisors, and it's finding these people that you build trust with. Like for instance, I have a great estate attorney, and I got a call from a client the other day. It was the shortest listing appointment I've ever had. It was about 3 minutes, and I could tell that after 2.5, she was ready to sign and be done. She's just done. And if I would have just finished my spiel, it wouldn't have mattered to her. She just wanted to know, like, I trust my attorney implicitly in all things. They trust you implicitly in all things real estate. Therefore, I trust you. And it just becomes this much easier way of getting a relationship faster because you already have a warm introduction. So I do a lot of work there, and there's more to be done. It's can be a long road at times. It's not, and I stub my toe a lot in the beginning about how to build these relationships with people. So it's not always a straight path from relationship to referral.
Yeah, well said. Providing value to your clients and all your referral partners, and the business kind of organically comes back around.
And the key there with that in my mind is what's in it for them, right? If you just go with your hand out and you say, I want a relationship, and I'll send you estate referrals and you'll send me estate clients, that's not going to work. You've got to figure out what scratches their itch and do that for them. What's the pain point in their life with real estate, and solve that problem for them. And if you can do that, and you can show that now you're being helpful for them. You're taking, for you to say, hey, can you send me referrals? That's asking them to do more work, and it doesn't benefit them. So you've got to find what that win is there for them.
Yeah, and I would think finding those referral partners that have the same mindset as you and that are like-minded. So it's the respect and know that they will provide the same level of care that you do to make sure your clients are happy.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other ways that you provide value to your clients? I saw the website talked about even helping with, investing or relocation, or you mentioned repairs or work on their home.
Yeah. Well, we bring, because we were by referral, I mean, we have the same group of people, right? So most agents have their network of people they use, but we refer to it as our referral partners, right? And so again, we're seeding that referral conversation. So, when you work with us, we only work by referral. So I've got a painter that I know, I've got a handyman, I've got an electrician, I've got all these people, and then we're going to come in and we're going to figure out what do we need to do to your house to sell it to get you the top dollar for the least amount of work for you, right? And that's a sliding scale. So we do that. We provide options. I mean, really well and truly. our number one job is to stop a buyer from buying a bad house and stop a seller from selling something they shouldn't sell. And so I spend part of every single conversation I have with the client for the listing, the initial portion of how do I stop you from making a choice you're gonna regret 15 years from now. And sometimes that means people don't buy or sell. That's totally fine. I'm not here to help buy them or sell them a house. I'm here to use real estate to meet their goals. And if we just focus on buying and selling, we're going to lose, or investing, we're going to lose sight of what's that actual goal, and is there something else they should be doing with that money and time and
Right.
energy.
Yeah, and focus, from your answers about referral, that once someone has done a transaction with you or people they are going to get all those touch points and invites and marketing pieces. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to when I ask, who was the agent when you bought your house, or who was the loan officer when you did your loan, and people, can't remember. It's stunning, but does not sound like that's the case with you and
No,
your business, which is a key.
we have three. We're working on a fourth generation with one family. A lot of three generation families right now. We sold to the kids. They sold mom and dad when they came, and now their kids have grown up. So we've got three generations. There's a fourth one coming here in the next couple of years. Yeah, when you take care of people, they really will take care of you. You've got to stay top of mind, but yeah, 100%.
Yeah, well said. Day to day. So talk about how, what your typical day is like, how you manage your time, how you communicate with your team. Get us a picture of what a typical day week is like for you.
Yeah, it's been in flux. I mean, I'll say the last 2 years, like many of us, have been really, really busy, and so the day to day routine has been less routine than I care to admit. But I know I'm not alone in that, so it's okay. Um, the last couple months, so early this year, I made a decision that I'm growing the team, and that's part of the goal. And so I got real clear on that I have three jobs every day. I've got to sell, I've got to recruit, and I've got to lead and run the business. And I have those three jobs are my jobs every single day. And so I sit down every morning and I make a list of what am I going to do in each of those three categories today that move my business forward. And I do those three things, and then I do everything else, right? And at least that way, because there's so many things. I mean, my calendar is like all of ours, right? It's insane. It's got personal stuff, it's got business stuff, it's got client stuff, it's got lunches and happy hours and coffees and calls and lead generation and notes and that whole transaction thing that you're doing. And it's really easy to wake up at 6 in the morning and or 5:30 in the morning and open your computer at 6 and close it at 7:30 at night and not have actually gotten the things you need to get done. So that three things a day helps keep me on track. All right. We check in at 9 in the morning, most mornings. There's a couple exceptions, but most mornings as a team, we check in either in person or on the phone. We get on a conference line, have a conversation. What are your priorities for the day? Everybody's got three jobs. You can find the three that are important for your business. My marketing guy, his three jobs are different than my office manager. It's different than my agents. It's different than my transaction coordinator. So we find those three jobs and we make sure, are you on track for those three jobs today? Or have priority shifted from when we thought this would be the what your plan for the day was. And then I try to reassess that throughout the day of what's that looking like. Are you setting yourself up for success? Are you doing what you actually said you would do? I don't work from home. I mean, I do a little bit, but realistically, I'll drive into the office every day because I know I'm not productive at home. I just don't get it done. I get laundry done. I get dishes done. I play with the dogs and cats. I hang out with my wife. Like I get all that stuff done, but I don't get work done. So I drive into the office most every single day, and I use my time here. And it's not uncommon for me to go take 20 minutes and read a book at lunch. And then when I'm done with that, say, okay, you've been here for 7 hours already. Did you get 7 hours worth of value out of your time, or should you just not come in and call it a day at home? If I catch myself slipping a little bit and I'm, reading the news or just kind of plinking around and not actually being productive, it's a check-in moment to make sure that the rest of the time I'm there, that I'm earning that time away from my family, is what it really boils down to.
I love that. Just to keep it simple, your three things, and to have, your goals clearly defined, a little different for each member of your team. rather than just going in willy-nilly and kind of being reactionary
Yeah.
is a key to success in any business. But that was well said.
Thank you. There's going to be plenty of time to be reactionary throughout the day. You got lots of time to react to everything that's going to come your way. Carve out that little bit of time for yourself that moves your business forward.
Super important. Super important. Aside from the systems you have with Keller and your company, anything else, tech or tools or other systems that you and your team find super valuable that you use in your business or to communicate with each other?
We're probably low. I bet we're lower tech than most agents. In that there's lots of great technology out there, tons of it. I mean, the Agent Advantage CRM, right? There's lots of great marketing tools. There's lots of great pieces out there. Um, I've tried really hard to keep us focused. I'm not, forgive me, that's a poor choice of words. I'm not trying really hard. I am keeping us focused on what is really important, and that's consistency and whatever the tool you use are. So there's lots of little things. I mean, Easy Text is a great tool to reach a bunch of people. Um, for events, right? I don't spam them, but to communicate with a bunch of people all at one time. Of course, your CRM, but CRM is only as good as the one you're using, right? And there's a couple other tools out there. We use traditionally Gmail, we use Google Docs, we use our CRM, and then we store it all in Dropbox for the most part is where we keep our files. We're switching over to Google Sheets so that we can be working on things at the same time, but we try to keep it simple, knowing that the more complex you make it, the less likely we are to be consistent with it. So,
Right. Very good. You mentioned the big end of the year event. Talk about your events. Do you have them planned throughout the year? Do you talk about that as a team and how, follow up from the events you have, but tell us about your event strategy or maybe
yeah,
even involvement with the community.
yeah. So we sit down in October and we do our planning for the next year. So that way we have all of our planning set aside for the entire year to come. There's room to adjust. There's room, when COVID happened, we couldn't just keep doing everything the same. But we did all of our events. We just adjusted them. So we know what we're going to do, and this is the same way. So the end of the year we do it. In the past years, this will be our 13th annual Cam 13th annual tree event. We've changed it this year to Winter Greens event because we also do wreaths and garlands, which are more cost effective than to give out than a tree. So we call it a Winter Greens event, and we mentioned trees last. But we invite the entire database out to Oregon, thankfully. I mean, we have U-cut tree farms. Most of the Christmas trees in the country are produced here. So we have these U-cut farms where you go out and so there's cover. We invite our clients out. They come out. We've got soup and warm drinks and some nice beverages, donuts, and then there's photo booths. There's just a bunch of opportunities on these working farms. And they grab a saw and they grab a little piece of cardboard and a pad and they go out in the tree fields and they pick the tree that's going to work in their house and they cut it down. And then the tree farm bales it up and takes it away. And we get some great time with clients. And it's hard to put an ROI on it of saying that this dollar generates that piece, but here's what I know is that every single year we get a ton of relationship building out of that time. That's where we find out about, oh, so and so's pregnant, oh, so and so went to college, oh, so and so's getting divorced, oh, so and so, and then we use that time to seed our follow up for the rest of the year. So in October we're sitting down, we're planning these events. That's how I start our marketing calendar. Is what events are we going to do? And so this year we try to do 6 a year. 6 big all client events, usually 2 in quarter 1, 2 in quarter 4, and 1 each in quarter 2 and 3, just because people are usually busier in those time periods. And we know that we're seeding our future business in quarters 4 and 1. So we do 2 events quarter 1, 2 events quarter 4, 1 in the summer, 1 in kind of late spring. And then throughout the year, we've got smaller mini events where we might take 4 great clients to dinner. We might do a beer tasting for 10 people. We might go do, a walk in the park with a historian for 15 people, right? We'll do these kind of smaller, more curated things that we can then pepper in as long as we're doing the 6 things that we know we need to do that touch everybody.
Right. Wow. Sounds super fun. Great.
It is.
Great takeaway for everybody. Thinking of the rest of the year. Big elaborate events, small face-to-face. I think people now are really ready to get together after the past couple of years too. So even when things are slow, great time and way to
Yeah.
get in front of people that you've worked with in the past.
I mean, really, this is the time of year to be contacting people, right? And getting, I'm meeting multiple clients a day vendors, partners a day for the next 6 weeks, basically be aware of Christmas and Thanksgiving and the holidays and New Year's, right? But meeting as many as we can, because I know this is when we see those relationships for the future. And this is where we find out who's moving and this is where we line out our pipeline for the next year. And events, I don't want to let it scare people. They're not all massive, tree events. This is our big one a year. It can be really simple. Pi Day. We do Pi Day March 14th, 3.14. It's pi. It's a pun. It's pie. It's great. Everybody loves it. And it's really simple. It's super cost effective. It doesn't take a ton of staffing power or labor to do. You can team up with other agents so you can split some of the costs. We do 3 classes. So 3 of the events are classes where we'll have panelists come in, or we'll invite somebody else to come in and be an expert for us. We might only get 15 or 20 people out of our database to show up, but we contacted all of them. It helps seed us again as the expert in the arena, and that we're their go-to. So that it doesn't have to be a massive production. Just think of event as what value are you providing to your clients on a big scale.
Very good. And can you tell us about goal setting? Do you and your team have long-term, short-term goals? Do you track them together? What's your forecast for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so I split it in 2 different components, right? I've got a team, like a production goal, and then I've got a business goal of where I'm taking the business. So short term, not short term, but the team goal for the year. Yeah, we sat down. Part of our October marketing planning is financials for the year and forecasting out and what that looks like. We have dollar amount goals or transaction goals. What I know is that I can't control the outcome, right? I can't control how many sales I actually have. I can control what I can control. So what I track the most is our referrals in, right? Because the referral, again, I can't necessarily track the contact, but I know that if I get X 2.5 referrals to a closed deal was what it looks like from my database. So if I get 2.5 referrals, I'm going to get a closed deal. So I work backwards from that and figure out, so how many contacts do I need to do to have a referral? What does this actually look like? If last year I got 160 referrals and this year I want 210 referrals, and I know that I did 4 events last year. Well, I need to move my events up. If I didn't write enough notes, I know I need to move my notes up. I can't guarantee that doing that event is going to get me the referral, but I do know that doing the activity gets me closer to, it's a numbers game of getting me closer to the end goal of how many referrals I need to hit the business I need. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else with the
I think just it's a mindset piece real fast on that, is that part of the reason I don't focus on the financial goal, obviously it's there. I have a budget, I have financial goals, but if I'm just constantly pounding on, I want to hit X million in sales, I want to hit X million in sales, I need to hit X million in GCI, it makes me money focused, and it makes me transactionally focused. Oh man, I got to get 2 more under contract this month. When in the reality, I don't, right? I might get 6 under contract next month. What's more important is focusing on the relationships and building those relationships, and that leads me to referrals, which leads me to the financial goal at the end. And it sounds semantically, and some people are going to roll their eyes. I get it, but the reality is it comes through in personalities, and people will tell that if you're coming at them from I'm trying to sell you, they will know right away. And I know that if you help people get what they want, it helps you get what you want. So.
No, focusing on the action items that result in the business instead of just saying, I want to win this many games. You're saying, I want
Right.
to train this hard and eat this well. And, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Anything else on your total, business plan for the upcoming year, kind of
Yeah.
piggybacking on the goals?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of pessimism and a lot of fear out there, and that's I don't want to get too far off a tangent. Well, you'll have to edit this a whole lot if I do, but the reality is that fear sells, and fear sells advertising, and that's what your clients hear all day long. They've got inflation, they've got interest rates, they've got war in Ukraine, they've got famine, they've got everybody, the election that just happened. However you feel about it, whichever one of the 2 choices you get is, there's just fear everywhere you go. And then there's these moments of joy, the holidays and family, but that leads to strife, and it's just a lot for people. And so you've got to be that bright spot for them, and help remind them that they've got a 30-year future here, or 40 or 50 or whatever it looks like. And so it doesn't mean you're Pollyanna. You acknowledge these things, but I take that same principle to my business model, and some fantastic businesses have been built during recessions. I think we're in a recession. That's really clear. We've been operating in a recession since March, is how we've been operating internally, and we're having our best year ever. And I expect next year to be even better. So instead of putting my head in the sand and talking about everything that's not right, I focus on, again, what value can I bring to people, vendors, clients, friends, family, whoever they are, and how do we translate that into knowing that what value can we bring them, and not worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, because I can't control tomorrow. But here's what I know is that people are still having babies, people are still getting married, people are still contributing to their 401k plans. You've got to have that long-term perspective and know that things are going to get better. They are. So why wait until they get better for you to get better? You can just take this interim period where everybody else is putting their head in the sand and put the pedal to the metal and go and grow, which is what we're trying to do. So I'm forecasting up pretty substantially this next year as we bring on new agents, as we bring on people that are getting out of the business because they're scared or they don't have the support to do it effectively. I think it'll be a really good year for us for growth, and that's just going to mean we're helping more people. So
opportunity to gain market share.
Yeah, there's people getting out of business. There's going to be a bunch of new people that are struggling, and if that's you, that's okay. Lots of people struggle in good markets. People struggle, so find somebody that can help you and mentor you, and you'll get through it, and you'll have a stronger business for it. And then there's a bunch of people that have been in the industry for 25 years that have done really, really well, and they don't want to do it again. They don't want to go through another cycle, and so they're getting out of the business. And now is the time to capture that market share, either buying their business out or partnering with them, or they're just going to get out of the business, and it's more opportunities for you. But there's more than enough sales for everybody in this country, for all the agents that actually want to do it. The bottom of the ladder is really crowded, right? It's the top of the ladder that's clear. So you just climb up the ladder, and then you're with a bunch of people that are like you, helping you, and you're not fighting over the crumbs at the bottom. So that's my plan in a nutshell.
No, it's great. Great words of wisdom, positive, encouraging, and it's great to share with our audience. Well said, Matthew. Anything else to wrap? Any other advice for the upcoming year that you want to share that you haven't?
Yeah, I think just briefly, again, I'll come back because I said it a bunch, perspective, and just have the perspective that we're in an industry that rewards long-term thinking, right? I mean, real estate's very forgiving over the long term, and it's that short-term jump, shiny object that challenges people, and that's what punishes people. The market does in a lot of ways. So have that perspective for you, for your clients, for your business, and that will go a long way towards success. And then I had something that was super amazing that was going to just blow everybody's minds away, but I lost it. And it's just that it's perspective, it's consistency, and it's doing what you like. And if you don't like what you're doing, adjust it. There's lots of ways to be successful in this business, and there's lots of people willing to help. So reach out, call me, call you, call friends, call peers. Like, people will help you, and if they don't help you, then you didn't want their advice anyway.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Matthew Ray, Gamma Homes out in Portland. We really appreciate you joining and sharing, and here's to a great year.
Likewise, I appreciate you being here and doing this for agents everywhere. It's great. It's gonna be a good year.
Excellent. And for everyone, a reminder to be on the lookout for our next Agent Advantage webinar. We do these on the first Wednesday of each month. Hope to see you on the next one. Also, love your feedback, comments. If you have questions for us, if you have questions for Matthew, if you have other topics you'd like us to cover, please shoot us an email, agents@rate.com. We would love to hear from you. On behalf of the Agent Advantage team and the entire Guarantrade family of companies, I'm Kurt Klaus. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, and here's to a great year.